awkward?
Switch accounts.
Okay. Is
Listen, the first stream's gonna be awkward. So.
Listen, it's already awkward. All right. Is it live though?
Let me pull it up here.
Select stream. Upcoming. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, we're live.
All right, cool. All right, so drop me the link in my other Discord account. Yeah.
Wait, drop you the link to what?
Drop the link to this so I could drop it in the Discord because everybody's waiting for.
Yeah, I got you.
That.
Millie, I'm gonna send it to your new one, I guess.
Okay. I can't wait for that Discord notification thing.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna actually tuck this in the corner. Let me disconnect this from my other windows because I want to be able to follow along and have this up at the same time. Where do I put this?
All right.
I put this over here.
That's settled. I just dropped it in the
Worst
Discord.
intro ever.
Listen, here comes the intro. Ready? Just waiting for people to pop in. Hopefully they make it. I don't see anything yet. Oh, there's Jamie. There's Joni. There we go. People are in. All right. We can start now.
I like how it gives them a number 1 and number 2 badge. Like who's first? Oh, number 3. John got number 3. Love that.
All right, you guys. Welcome in. How is everybody feeling tonight? TGI Friday. I am Millie, and this is my co-host, Unrealness. All right. We have a lot of stuff to go over, hopefully within the hour time span that we are hosting this. Who's ready for a little Habibi Hakeem meme time? Yeah? We like Habibi Hakeem.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Who did make this? I gotta know who made this. I need to find this guy.
The memes are on point. That's all I have to say.
The Democrats are acting like terrorists, holding the American people hostage right now in order to get what you want. You want to just quickly respond to that?
Yes, Mr. Infidel. We will keep government closed until the infidels give us what we want. We want free healthcare for illegal alien terrorists. You don't want to give free healthcare to Mexicans? Fine. We don't even like Mexicans. They're too loud, playing mariachi music until 6 in the morning. I need to sleep, Daddy. I drive Uber tomorrow.
The Democrats are acting like terrorists.
I think this is perfect. I think this is even better than the sombrero meme. I think that it's chef's kiss.
Yeah, again, I need to find the guy who makes these. It's so badly made, it's good. You know what I mean? Like it's so terrible. Like the thing's not even like staying on his head, but it looks, I don't know, there's something about it. I need to find that guy because I have some work for him. I have a lot of work for him. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Let's see. We have from the Mondami. He comes out and is talking about, oh, my poor aunt after 9/11 was afraid to use the subway because, you know, she didn't feel safe wearing her hijab. What? I mean,
he made it about him. He made it about himself. That is really just disgusting. He's trying to make that horrible day about his mom not feeling comfortable in her hijab. That's just disgusting, honestly.
But how do you think Americans felt after 9/11? Do you think Americans walking down the street was like, damn, I really hope that not another Islamic terrorist is going to come through and do even more damage? So, yeah, like, I'm sure it may have been weird at first for someone who was Muslim in New York to be walking around with a hijab. But I also think that, you know, it was also equally scary for Americans to be doing that as well. So here's Zoran Mondami talking about his aunt feeling unsafe in New York.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt.
That's right. Get the waterworks going.
Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Oh no.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York.
Why are the Democrats like really bad at fake crying? They just gotta like work themselves up so that they could get the
He's also trying to
waterworks.
paint the he's trying to paint the fear that people were having as like irrational. I mean, at least for the first while, like you have to kind of understand people's perspective. And but even before 9/11 happened, I mean, most religious terrorist acts were conducted by Islamic radicals. So the fear wasn't completely unfounded. It wasn't like baseless. It was actually it was understood. And not that I want people to be afraid or very peaceful Muslims, but it's like at the same time you have to kind of be like, yeah, I kind of understand why people feel this way, especially so close to the event. I think that whole waterworks moment of his was just more an attack on those who were survivors of the event, and even everyone who watched the event happen and unfold live that morning. So I think that was more of an insult to just everyday Americans. I think it's even an insult to Muslims. I really do.
Yeah. Well, and even like to current day point, you have pro-Palestinians that are going out attacking people still to this day. You had a pro-Palestinian went to Josh Shapiro's house, lit his house on fire for the Free Palestine movement. So I think that has kind of shifted from just like Islamic Jihad to like, oh, now there's this kind of shield around this. Like, oh, we're doing this for Palestine. Now there's like a somewhat purpose where before it was just like, oh, whatever, Allah Akbar. God is good.
Well, I mean, this is a very typical Democrat tactic, right? They try to play on emotions. They try to rally people, getting
emotional
emotionally
manipulation.
Yeah, they like to weaponize. They like to weaponize emotions quite often, and that's how they play to people's toxic empathy, and that has been very powerful in the past. But I'm seeing more of a shift away from it, like because we're seeing many videos that are popping up of like these ICE agents apprehending someone, and people are starting to ask questions like, why are you only showing this portion of the video where the arrest is already taking place, but you're not showing like what led to the arrest? So more and more people are asking questions, and I think we're seeing a huge shift in people actually going, you know what? Yeah, that does suck that happened, but like, what's the whole story? You're obviously not showing me the entire thing on purpose because you're trying to invoke some sort of emotion in me. And it used to work, but I don't think it's working as much as it used to. I really don't.
You know what's crazy is like last night I was actually just laying in bed relaxing, and an episode of Cops came on. And I was thinking the exact same thing. You're seeing a police officer that's chasing a car, and then that person in the vehicle throws a baggie of substances out of the car. He's like, oopsie, notice he just threw that out of the car. And then when they go arrest him, it's at that point when the police officer gets up to the window of the car that this person starts videotaping them, being like, why am I under arrest? Why am I under arrest? And you get like two completely different sides of the story. So that's why I don't take any of these videos that Democrats immediately show, like the person getting arrested, their version of what happened. I also want to see the police version of what happened. I'm happy for body cams now because now we actually get to see that. So
yes, and I think the Black Lives Matter movement basically forcing cops, which by the way, if there's one thing I supported from the Black Lives Matter movement was advocating for cops to wear body cams, and it's just been seemingly blowing up in their face because it completely stomps out a lot of outrage way before it can possibly happen. So you'll see it in the initial post of, like you said, a man holding a camera as a cop's approaching the car, and they bust out the window, the whole thing goes down. There gets like 1 million views. You're like, oh my God, why would the police do this? But then almost immediately, like within an hour, we're seeing police departments dropping the actual footage of what actually full on happened and what the whole entire events were. And they're like, oh, this guy was a complete scumbag. He was complete scumbag. He wasn't listening. He opened up his door when he wasn't supposed to. He probably should have been shot at that moment. I can't believe the cop had that level of restraint given how many cops get killed by criminals on a regular basis. So they're obviously seemingly on edge at all times. Yeah. So thank God for body cams. I think that it was a huge mistake on their part to demand them because now you can't do the whole hands up, don't shoot nonsense. It just doesn't work anymore. And it also holds cops accountable because there are actually cops who
do bad things.
absolutely
Yeah.
violate the law. Absolutely. So there are
100%.
cops actually getting caught doing some horrible shit. So I think it's a win-win all around. I
Well,
really do.
Here was a recent example of that happening. I'm glad we kind of brought this up, where somebody was getting chased down through a Walgreens, and they're like, "Oh my God, this guy is a U.S. citizen."
Fuck out of here! Real Americans don't want you! Get the fuck out of here! You fucking Nazi! Get the fuck out of here! He's American! He's a citizen! He's a citizen! Why are you running? Because you saw you. He's a citizen! He's a citizen! That's my brother-in-law! Get the fuck away from me! You don't know what's going on, so get the fuck back!
Ooh.
Get the fuck up!
Emotional damage.
Man, that guy's seen some shit. That guy has seen some things.
Well, they're not having it anymore because these people are getting attacked. Like ICE agents and federal agents are getting attacked on a regular basis. And so what they didn't include in this video was that this man got into an accident with police, with the ICE agents in their vehicle, tried to run their vehicle off the road, which led them to a chase that ended up at Walgreens. So they made it seem like ICE was there to chase down this guy because he was a citizen, claiming it was about him being an immigrant. That's not what happened. He attacked federal agents in a car, and of course that led to a foot chase, which led them there. So I think, again, Democrats want to manipulate people for this emotional response that they want to get from people so that they can play the violin when some people get deported. I just think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, these are very low IQ individuals who are chronically online and lacking any sort of critical thinking skills. I understand. Oh, I'm upset that my brother-in-law or whatever is getting arrested, but these guys have been manipulated into thinking that ICE agents are Nazis or the Gestapo, which is it's just ridiculous. But because they're being fed all this nonsense over and over again, they don't have the capability of actually doing any sort of research and actually what's going on. They're being told by the Democrat Party and mainstream media and top ranking Democrats, for that matter, that they're dealing with the Gestapo. And anytime they see an ICE agent, they're trying to trigger they're going to try to trigger that emotion, that response that, oh, the Gestapo's here, stop them. These people are evil. So this is really not just the fault of the mainstream media, not just the fault of the Democrat leadership, but also just I think the fault of our education system. The lack of critical thinking skills and the willingness to actually do any sort of research, I think, is a real big problem we're facing right now, because people just eat shit up. They just eat it up, whatever they're told, no research, and then they just regurgitate it. You and I know that very well when we host our lives.
Well, and the way that this is being labeled, and I'm sure that you hear the same thing when you're debating people, is that this is kidnapping, abduction, these dramatic terms that you use for very serious crimes. Yes, but they forget the fact that abduction and kidnapping is unlawful. These are lawful detainments. This is part of our federal law. And then you have Jasmine Crockett, because they're not just calling these people Nazis. They're not just calling them Schmittler or the Gestapo. They're also calling them Klan members too. And it's all of this language is designed to make it easier in setting up these permission structures as to why it's okay to attack these people, why it's okay to assault them, kill them, all of these things. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And this is coming from members of our legislative body. So this was Jasmine Crockett, who was out referring to them as being Klans members. And you can see it says right there, kidnapped and disappeared. Trump's assault on Chicago, right? So this is very inflammatory language that they're using.
Yeah. Disappeared used to mean what the Chinese used to use the term. They used to use it as, disappeared meant they killed them, never to be seen again.
Yes.
And they've taken that word or that rhetoric, and they've shifted into people getting sent back to their country. It's for some reason being labeled now as disappeared. But yeah, they're using very, very inflammatory language. And it's for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's purposeful. It has a purpose to it. It means that if you hurt these people, if you push back on them, it's justified. It's justified because in your mind, of course, if you thought Nazis were in the street, you would want to stop them. Of course, if you actually thought Klansmen were walking down your street to do racist things again, you would want to stop them. However, this is just regular law enforcement. There's nothing that has changed about ICE. That wasn't happening under Obama. That wasn't happening under Bill Clinton. That wasn't happening under Joe Biden. So all of this is just specifically trying to demonize this administration. And this is probably some of the most dangerous things that I've seen recently in regards to how legislators and governors are talking about our federal agents. But here's Jasmine Crockett.
Just call a thing a thing. Like, this administration is racist. That he has always been a racist, and that is what we are enduring in this country. Let me give you some facts behind this racism. And they get mad when I say the things that I say, but I will not stop speaking the truth. Number one, I said that what we were experiencing in this country felt like what I would imagine slave patrols to look like. And frankly, anybody that knows anything about slave patrols, this is exactly what it was like. We're talking about lawless people that are going around with no warrants or anything, and it's all about rounding people up and disappearing them. That is what's currently taking place. And interestingly enough, even though modern day policing was born out of slave patrols, when I was speaking with one of my friends who is a federal law enforcement officer, he told me that one of the things that he has observed is that the culture is created at the top. And when I think about it, it absolutely makes sense. If you have somebody at the top that will not tolerate the types of things that we're seeing, then maybe those under you won't do it. But we know that we have a racist at the top. He has called himself the head law enforcement agent in this country, and therefore everybody has decided that it is okay to take off their hoods and mask up as ICE agents. Now, we've talked about how they have hidden themselves, but again, it reminds me of the Klan. That is why I proposed the Clear ID Act, to make them identify themselves, because it is dangerous for law enforcement as well as individuals, because you don't know, especially with ICE going around and doing the things that thugs do. They're busting out windows. They're breaking into homes. They're breaking people's arms.
All that's legal.
This doesn't sound like law enforcement. It sounds like thuggery to me.
Did she just claim that policing was bred and or
Thuggery?
came out of during the slavery of America? That's how our current modern day policing is where it came from?
Slave patrols is what she
Slave patrols.
referenced it as. Yes.
That is the most insane thing I've heard today. As if there wasn't policing for hundreds of years prior to any of that. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
I can't stand that woman. And by the way, she gave 0 examples as to why Donald Trump is racist, and yet said he was racist, I think, at least 4 times, but never pointed to anything that actually directly linked him to any sort of racism. 0.
Well, this is, again, like I said, you're setting up permission structures for why it's okay to hurt these people, to punch these people, assault these people, kill these people, which you've had 3 ICE facilities that have been shot at over the span of 3 months. You are having ICE agents ran off the road. And these more permission structures coming from the Democratic legislators is dangerous. There's a reason why they want these people unmasked. There's a reason why they want their identities, so that they can show up at their house and commit more violence against them, more rhetoric, hurt their families, get their spouses fired, attack their children. There is no metric of which they are trying to fuel their base to harm children, harm spouses that have nothing to do with what their husbands are doing as a career. Also, you have black men and Mexican men that are actually in ICE that are enforcing these laws. Are you saying that they're part of the Klan too? Are you referencing them to Clayton Bigsby? I mean, this is absurd.
Yeah. Well, and it's like it's what's happening with influencers online too. You see these major influencer accounts that are saying, punch a Nazi, punch a Nazi. Well, when you have people just labeling somebody as a Nazi based off of nothing, then people feel motivated to. But imagine when you have Democrat leadership saying that these people are Nazis. You have these other major accounts labeling people as Nazis. Again, you're creating a structure in which to commit these crimes is going to be deemed okay. And I think what's going to happen, or what's coming in these people's minds is, if I were to punch a Nazi, whatever the hell that means, because it's completely, I mean, if you just simply bring up a statistic, I get labeled as a Nazi right away. If I'm like, this thing, that thing per capita, oh, I'm a Nazi. So I can be labeled as a Nazi if I just look at somebody funny. Now you've set up the structure where it's encouraged that you attack the Nazi. And I think what they think, or I think what they're trying to push for, is that if I were to commit these crimes against the Nazis, once the Democrats come into power, they'll just let me go out of jail, which I'm actually starting to believe at this point. I think that people are getting more and more riled up because look, Democrat leadership supports our cause. So if I were to take out the Nazis, they're going to set me free if I were to get in trouble. They're literally creating this mindset, and it's very purposeful. And these are, again, and I've said this 1,000 times, there's a lot of useful idiots out there willing to be the hero in their story, because there are a lot of main characters, at least people who think they're main characters. And hell, if you can take out a Nazi, well, I mean, they might write some cool books about you. You might be immortalized in some way. No, you're not important to the Democrats. You're being propagandized to in order for the Democrats to garner power. That's it. There's nothing special about you. It's just the truth.
Yeah, I get more concerned because my feeling is that the Democrats are going to try to push and walk the line of rebellion until it gets to the point where the Insurrection Act gets used. Because at what point do you say this is an all-out rebellion? You have governors and Democratic legislators say they're going to arrest ICE agents for doing their job. You have Todd Blanche, who is the Deputy Attorney General for the United States for the federal government, saying if you lay hands on an ICE agent and you try to arrest them, we are going to press charges. We are going to come after you. And so it doesn't matter if you're a congressman. It doesn't matter if you are a governor. It doesn't matter if you are a mayor. If you put your hands on federal law enforcement officers, you are going to go to jail. You don't have the authority as a state representative or as a governor to override the federal government's enforcement mechanism. You can challenge it in court. You have no business doing the things that you're doing.
Let me ask you this though, Millie. We have them in California. They're trying to. I think it wouldn't start until January, or maybe it was July. Maybe I get the months mixed up. But they're going to start trying to force ICE agents to stop wearing masks. Let's say they don't. Am I to expect that state law enforcement is going to start arresting federal law enforcement? And in that case, who actually has the authority? What's stopping the federal law enforcement arresting the state law enforcement for putting hands on a federal officer or a federal agent? This stuff is literally like what leads us into a civil war. This is my biggest concern, this insane polarization. And do you think California, because I think it's more important, do you think California will actually enforce that law? Do you think you see Californian law enforcement arresting federal law enforcement?
Well, like I said, they were put on notice by Todd Blanche. So maybe they were brave before, thinking like, well, federal government hasn't really pushed back enough against me yet. So maybe I can get away with this. But Todd Blanche made it very clear. The second that a state lays hands on a federal officer and tries to arrest them, they are going to jail. They are going to prosecute these people if they touch federal law enforcement officers. And like I said many times before, Article 6, which is the supremacy clause, the Constitution and federal laws that are passed by the United States are together the supreme law of the land. State laws do not override federal laws in any capacity. I find it...
But that's why I'm asking you, though. In a perfect world, you're absolutely correct. But we already have these sanctuary cities and states that are already ignoring federal law when it pertains to illegal immigration. So it's really hard for me. I mean, maybe these people, these law enforcement officers, local law enforcement officers, actually go, yeah, I have to listen to the federal government. Even my own governor is out of line. Or do they align with their own state's governance and define the federal law and actually try to arrest federal agents? That's my biggest concern. Like, yes, on paper, you're absolutely correct. The supremacy clause is clear as day, but how is that going to be practiced in the real world is my question.
Well, like I said, I think we're getting close to invoking the Insurrection Act. The more that the states rebel against the federal government and federal enforcement of laws, I think you're inching us very, very close to the Insurrection Act, which I don't think the administration wants to use. I think the administration knows the political optics of invoking that. And I think that that's why Democrats are pushing the envelope closer and closer, because the second he invokes that, the Democrats are going to be like, see, we told you he was authoritarian. See, we told you he was going to do this crazy stuff.
Right.
While at the same time ignoring all the psycho things they're doing. I mean, the Democratic Party has now become the party of murder, in my opinion. They're endorsing murder. You have, like I said, and I know I've said this many times, Jay Jones is still up to be the Attorney General of Virginia. They have not pulled him off the stage. There have been many Democratic legislators that have said very heinous things about federal law enforcement. So I think it will get to that point. I'm very surprised because I think the Democrats keep saying there was this party switch, right? But we're right back to it again, where they're pushing back on the federal government that is coming in saying, hey, we're going to remove these people. We're not keeping these people here anymore. Or that, we're pushing back and changing federal laws and the states are not having it. And so I think, again, we're back in a states' rights war. I would say it's a conflict. I don't think it's gotten to a war yet. I think it's a conflict that may, at some period in time, work its way towards that direction. I think that's kind of scary for the entire country as a whole, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Well, it creates hyperpolarization, right? If you have certain things, that are completely polar opposites to, like, let's say, in other states, and you're having people leaving states, and you're actually starting to see separation of people because they like the way this state's doing things, as you should, right? And we're talking about like tiny things. It's like, people talk about marijuana legalization and all that jazz. That's not detrimental. That's not changing people's lives. But when you start talking about things like abortions and everything else in between, when you get to things that are way more hardline, I listen to many different podcasters over the last couple of days, where like the position of the Democrats where it pertained to abortions, they were talking about it in like, time frames. Now Democrats have completely gotten all the way to the very end. 9 months doesn't matter. It's not your body. It's her body. It's her choice. Doesn't matter. We went from, maybe we can cut her off at 12 weeks. So no, that woman should be able to do it at 9 months, even if she just wants to. She wakes up one day, she goes, I don't want to have it. I know I'm eight months and 2 weeks in, but I just want to get rid of it. That's where we're at now. So now we're at this point of hyperpolarization where I'm actually genuinely concerned that we're actually at an early stage. I want to say civil war, but something's erupting, and it has me really concerned. It really does.
Sorry, I muted myself. And I agree with you there. And I think that the people that they're weaponizing to do this with, I mean, the second that they're in custody, this is what these clowns look like.
The Warriors.
Do you like that little? It never gets old. I love the little wedgie they give him.
Is he related to
Danny DeVito? This man has to be a cousin of Danny DeVito.
That's crazy. What a little dork.
But yeah, these are the people. The
Did he
Democratic
say the
Party.
N-word? Did he say the N-word? Go back. I don't know if you heard that. Did I mishear him? Go back. Yeah, go back just a few seconds.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me, nigger.
Right there. He said the N-word, dude.
How did I miss that the first time I watched this video? Holy shit. Holy shit.
I thought maybe
God.
I misheard him.
No. Oh my God, that's crazy. Sorry, I'm like baking in here. That is crazy. I never heard him say that the first time I watched this video. So imagine, right? But they're not going to call this guy a schnazi.
No.
They're not going to call him a schnazi.
He's a freedom fighter. He's a freedom fighter.
It's gross.
That's crazy. I thought I misheard him. That's nuts. That's the left in a nutshell right there.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
goodness.
Listen, I said this before when we had like links come into our live panels. He would come up and debate people on the left, and they would straight up call him a raccoon minus the raw, if you know what I mean. They were saying that to him over and over and over again, calling him an Uncle Tom, saying so many ridiculous things that I'm like, why are you guys this comfortably racist? I thought, the right is supposed to be the racist, but now I'm seeing the left use
that's
this
how they label
language
hate
when
crimes.
it's okay.
Yeah, that's how they label hate crimes too, by the way. If that were to be that, let's say if you were to be in a confrontation with a black person and he used that word, and even if you, despite the fact he's voted Democrat 100% of the time, they would label that as right-wing hate crime, even though he's obviously not a right-winger.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. The left is gross. I mean, the racist comments are like the bottom of the barrel with what I care about with the left right now. I think the permission structures are terrifying for me, that it's okay morally to kill Republicans. We saw the reaction to what happened to Charlie Kirk when Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck. It was all of these people were coming out, making this okay, cheering this on, saying he deserved it. He was a racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, everything in the book. And I don't really think that encompasses who Charlie really was, but it's the way that the left was so comfortable with this and continuing to push more of that is what's scary to me.
Well, I mean, I have people coming up my live, they're like, oh, what he said was racist here, or what he said was sexist here. And I'm like, okay, well, let's pull the clip. And they'll pull a clip. Sometimes they never really do, let's be honest. But let's say sometimes they do, and they show me a clip. And it didn't dawn on these people for at least a second. Hey, man, that's weird. Why is this clip only 20 seconds long? That's because it's way out of context. If you just go 20 seconds in both directions, you'll find out it's not what you think it is. And it's been chopped down this way to confuse, or sorry, not to confuse, but to compel idiots like you to come up into panels like mine and just to prove in front of hundreds of people how stupid you are. Congratulations, you've been played. You're a useful idiot. I see it constantly.
Speaking of useful idiots, I'm going to switch gears a little bit to the meltdown over the White House construction. Elizabeth Warren.
Oh my God.
Our favorite Pocahontas. You know what I mean? I've launched an investigation into the contracting approval process for the demolition of the White House and whether the corporate donors funding Trump's ballroom are seeking favors with the administration. The American public deserves answers. That's crazy. I remember when Obama was doing this. This was done with taxpayer dollars, doing renovations to the White House, demolishing the tennis court and making it into a basketball court. I did not hear a single peep from Democrats about, oh, this is so disgraceful. This is a private funded project.
How much was that basketball court?
I don't know.
$340-something million for that entire area. Yeah.
It was something in the millions. I know that much. But the fake outrage over this is insane. The White House has been renovated many different times over, fixing ventilation, adding new wings, redecorating certain rooms. Those types of things have always happened at the White House. And it was never just turned into a crazy situation until now. Now that Donald Trump is actually adding renovations to the White House. Oh, it's this big deal. We can't do this. This is all privately funded. No taxpayer dollars were used for this. So,
I mean, this shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised because no matter what Donald Trump does, there's my entire feed is going to be full of a bunch of, I don't even think these people believe what they're saying. I think they're really just trying to mobilize, again, they're useful idiots. I'll say that a lot. I don't think they actually care about any of this stuff, but they know their base. They know that they'll get butthurt about any way they can spin whatever Donald Trump is doing into a negative. It does not matter. That's why that was it's been an ongoing joke. If Donald Trump were to, cure cancer while he saved, 10 black babies in a burning building, they would be mad that he didn't do it fast enough. He didn't do it quick enough.
It just
He
wasn't
didn't do
quick
it fast
enough.
Now this baby has emphysema. No, they don't care. It's not about caring about what he's doing. It's about, we got to paint him as bad as possible. And you haven't noticed, have Democrats come out with any sort of answer to what Donald Trump's doing? It's never answers. It's just Donald Trump bad. There's never actually any answers or any maybe what's the word I'm looking for here?
Fifis.
It is just well, there's
It's
no
all
actual like
fifis.
well, both sides agree that the ACA sucks, right? I hear Democrats saying, yeah, this does suck. It's not great. Okay, so what's your answer? Well, Donald Trump's president. Okay, so what was Biden's answer? Well, I mean, it's just like they don't actually have answers to the problems that they're bringing up. They just want to say Donald Trump sucks. That's all they care about. It's getting really tiresome at this point.
I don't think that it's just Donald Trump that the left blames for everything. I think that the left has gone full-blown communist in saying that it's the billionaires and the millionaires. They're all responsible for our problems. It's all of them fucking us over. The answer always, from what I hear for Democrats for the healthcare system, we need universal healthcare. Okay, that's going to be $6 trillion a year just for universal healthcare. How do you plan to fund this? Oh, I don't know. Just swipe the credit card. We are at $1 trillion of interest. $1 trillion. Okay. This is why everybody in the country is running it. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people in the country are running into debt issues. They don't know how to get themselves out of debt. Okay. Well, we also need to apply this to the federal government. We are $38 trillion in debt. And now you want to add something that's going to be $6 trillion more for the healthcare industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think the private market has always been the best solution. And whenever you add government subsidies into something, it's going to become increasingly more expensive.
I mean, obviously, this conversation could be drawn into for hours in itself. I mean, we already seen what had happened when the government interfered in the education system when it came to loans. I mean, I don't know why people think it'd be any different when it would come to healthcare. And we're already seeing it. Ever since the ACA has been enacted, you've had states, much like my own, being in Idaho, they've removed the penalties for not having insurance every year. So where does that fall? Well, that would fall in other states. So it's just going to be the stacking of it. And it also encourages, not encourages, but it actually incentivizes hospitals in every industry or pharmacies to increase prices because they know they can just ask the federal government for whatever they want. And that's why everyone's been seeing their premiums going up. And they say, well, ever since the ACA, things have been at a lower point. I'm like, no, they haven't. If you actually looked at it over time, it's not gotten any better. If the ACA were to be removed, would premiums go up? Absolutely. But where it's going to push you to was an inevitability to begin with. This was just a Band-Aid on a giant gaping wound that is the insurance industry. It's all we're doing is just holding back the floodgates, and we just keep throwing more and more money at it. And actually, what the ACA is doing is actually making it worse. It's getting infected now. So not only do you have this giant gaping wound, now you have an infection setting in. I think the ACA was one of the biggest or the worst ideas in American history. I truly do.
I 100% agree. I don't even know how it was constitutional to begin with, right? And I know I've said this many times, and I'm sure my followers get tired of me saying it. How does the government force a private business to provide a service that is not part of their business plan? Okay, hey, I'm going to help subsidize your healthcare. This is my plan, okay? This is how much it's going to cost. These are the things that I'm going to cover. And then you sign up for that plan. How is it even legal or constitutional that the government tells a private business you have to provide services for pre-existing conditions? I think that's personally unconstitutional, but we could get into that to hours.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct. And I think that people will be convinced that healthcare is a right. Well, I mean, I think you can make it an equal argument to saying owning a car is a right. So am I going to now see the federal government subsidizing car sales to everyday buyers? I mean, where does this end? I mean, a lot of this just boils down. Exactly. That's exactly where it ends. That's the point. To what industry does it go? Because they're going to say, I mean, yes, driving is obviously a privilege. It's definitely not a right. But I've heard it argued as a right before. You know, you get your rights to drive taken away. So it's only a matter of time where people are going to be advocating for, well, you know, lower class, or middle class citizens can't afford cars these days. So I think it's important that the government subsidizes their buying of their purchasing of cars, so it's more affordable. This it just keeps going. Where does it stop? Am I going to start getting federal subsidized socks and underwear? I don't know where this ends. Again, well, I know where it ends. It ends in communism.
It ends
Absolutely.
in communism every single time, right? And like you and I have dealt with this because we're debaters on TikTok, but how many times have you brought somebody up on the left and you've asked them, what is the success rate for communism? Name me one communist country that was successful in implementing their agenda. Zero. It has a 0 success rate. And yet they keep doing this thing like, oh, well, we'll do it differently. We're just the one that's going to implement it the perfect way. No, it's going to end up the exact same way it always does, in a catastrophe.
Well, what they're trying to apply to it as well is that if we were just to flip over to communism tomorrow, our military strength would be the same. Our trade power would be the same. No, all these things would shift dramatically. And as a matter of fact, our military strength would drop so bad that we would be completely exposed to other countries' interference. So the practicality of the only way communism could ever possibly work is if the entire globe came together collectively. Wait, where have I heard this before? Oh, that's right. That's right. The globalists, like Klaus Schwab and all those people. That's exactly what they want. That's what they're moving towards. Is globalism. That's what they're moving towards because they recognize that actual socialism into communism, whatever, you have to have an entire collective mind working. Otherwise, it will not work. Communism cannot work unless the entire world agrees with it. But even then, it's still going to be trash because I refuse to live in the pod and eat the bugs. Okay, I just refuse.
Well, the irony of it is that communism always falls to authoritarian dictatorships every single time. Someone's got to run the ship, and it always turns into an authoritarian regime. So it's just really weird to me that the Democrats keep pushing for communism while at the same time crying about fascism and crying about, dictatorships and kings and stuff like that. That's how you get kings. When you give all of the power to the centralized federal government, that's how you get authoritarian regimes. And then good luck toppling it. Now you have to have a revolution. And it's very hard to do that once you're in that position. So,
well, I mean, you were talking about this before the other day, and I think it's a fascinating topic about, Mandami and all these socialist Democrats or whatever they label them, democratic socialists, where, instead of actually instituting what normal socialists would do, would be to start a revolution. They're doing it through legislation. So they're getting installed, or they're being brought in. They're being allowed to have power based off of a promise of free shit, and they're garnering more and more power so they can push forward their socialistic viewpoint. So in itself, it's more or less like a peaceful revolution, but it's going to be at the detriment of everyday people. You guys think you want these things, but I assure you, it doesn't, there's not much research you have to do to find out when the federal government involves itself in really any industry, it's just inevitably going to just F up.
Well, notice how they had to rebrand it, right? Because communism has such a bad rep that they're now like, oh, we're democratic socialists. We're not communists. We're democratic socialists. It has a whole new ring to it, right? But the goal and the outcome is still the same. Karl Marx laid this out in the Communist Manifesto. Socialism is the pathway to communism. Once you start giving up certain parts of private property and private ownership, it is a slippery slope straight into communism. It happens every single time. But I'm going to bring us back to the White House renovation because Donnie Jr. roasted the shit out of Chelsea Clinton because Chelsea Clinton was yapping off at the mouth about the East Wing being renovated. And
Hang on. I know we're doing this live, but I got to grab a drink while you're pulling that up.
Absolutely. Don't worry. I got you. Don Jr. says...
This is the realization of a live stream here.
Well, it's our first YouTube live stream. I think we're doing pretty well. I think
I'm thinking about a catheter. I'm thinking about a catheter and just putting my fridge over there just on my desk. So I never have to get, so I don't have to get up the entire time we're doing this.
I'm glad that both of us invested in a private, in our own little private fridge right next to our streaming platform because it's so useful. But
Hell yeah.
Don Jr. says, your parents tried stealing the furniture and the silverware from the White House. Let's not talk about the intern. Sit this one out.
That's crazy.
The clapbacks from this administration. I'm going to be so sad when this isn't a thing anymore. I'm going to cry, honestly.
I've been loving the DHS's or posts lately, the Department of Homeland Security. I don't know who's running that account, but that guy deserves a medal, or that girl, or whoever's doing it. Just whoever's running that account is just S tier trolling. Amazing.
Well, the White House as well, like the White House meme team that's going on, they're just popping these things out. And it's so funny. Like, we did watch recently Harry Sisson whining about the meme of Donald Trump getting in a fighter jet and shitting on the No Kings protest. That is exactly the response that I think that deserves. Like,
I love it.
Let's be honest, you know, there's no better thing than the president to be like, this is dumb. I'm going to literally shit on you for doing this, because we don't have kings here. We had a king. We had a revolution. It's not even a possibility of being a king. And the logic behind it, kings inherit power. Kings don't get voted into office. And I think the only example of that happening would have been the French, who voted basically essentially to make Napoleon an emperor. That was the only time in history I can think of that a king and an emperor, to be technical, got voted in.
Can I just say, I'm sure you're familiar with this account, the MAGA Cult Slayer account. I don't think I've seen an account more wrong in my life.
Yes.
He's just every day just getting dunked on left, right, and center.
I roast him on inflation whenever they post the dumb things about beef being expensive, and they're putting a picture of a piece of beef, but the label is from under Biden's administration. I'm like, so you're admitting that Biden's the one that actually got your beef expensive, because that's when this was sold. It's a joke.
The level, I don't listen. Obviously, this person's a coward. They don't show their actual face, much like most of the left that I see. And not that I want to strip away your anonymity, but I find it hard to follow a lot of accounts. At least take them seriously if they're unwilling to at least show me who they are. I mean, how can I take that seriously? You know, and people like to say, you know, what about the ICE agents, this and that. I'm like, I think that's very different, because the ICE agents are operating in the real world, doing their job, what they were hired for, and they're not mobilizing people to think the way they think. They're just showing up and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I find it hard to trust an influencer who is unwilling to actually show me what you look like. And I understand that people are like, well, I don't like the way I look and this and that. That doesn't matter to me. You know how many accounts I follow on YouTube, TikTok, and everything else in between that are not exactly the prettiest of people, but they are really smart, really highly intellectual people. But so people need to get out of their way. And if you guys see a lot of these accounts that have giant amounts, like MAGA Cult Slayer, this guy has 230,000 followers on this platform, and everything he posts, or she, or whatever this person is, I don't even think they're probably not even American. As a matter of fact, they're probably not even from the United States. Um, the level of superficial, people just see it, oh my god, MAGA bad, click like. That's the fan base of these people. I just don't trust these accounts. I don't believe that they're real. I don't even believe they're American. They might even be bots for all I know. I have no clue.
I'm gonna disagree with you there. I think they're real, only because I see the TikTok videos that people are making with their actual faces on it. The shit that they were saying about, we're gonna go unalive ICE. We're gonna, you know, do all of this violent shit to people that disagree with us. All of the responses after Charlie Kirk. I think these people are absolutely real. The problem is they've been propagandized so much to hate Donald Trump and so much to hate anybody who is a Republican. They literally see us as fascists and Nazis and just it's out of control, and it's because they've been listening to the mainstream media. You have to understand, when mainstream media comes out and gets on board with this propaganda campaign that the Democrats are doing, it's very hard to combat that. It takes a full team of press people to constantly push back on that narrative. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is true, but most of those accounts you're talking about are very big accounts. I mean, sure, maybe one or two of their posts get a little bit of a boosting, but I mean, I think they're those people that you see that are putting their face on, putting their face out there, they're getting dogpiled on. They're not getting any sort of actual clout. But I'm talking about accounts, and you're right. I think we're both right in this matter. But I think what led to their thinking to making those posts what came from accounts like this. That's where they got their initial information from. Because I think these people lack. I think most of the people on the left lack critical thinking skills.
Well, I
And
mean, that was
even
obvious from the Krasteen brothers. I mean, look at the dumb shit that they post on X. I'm like, bro, where are the brain cells? Did you guys put both of your brains together to make up one brain cell? Because the shit that they post on X is just so easily debunkable. Like, half of the things they say, I'm like, well, this is just... I need to actually take the time to go into either Ed or Brian Krasenstein's live to debate them and make them look like the absolute idiots that they are, because... I can't stand half the things that they say.
Well, for one, you got to know, you probably already know, but maybe some people don't know, is that their accounts were purchased accounts.
Yes.
So they bought two accounts, separate accounts that were like, I want to say they're musician accounts. Oh, yeah, one was a K-pop, or music. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
No way.
Yeah, one of them was a K-pop account. Yeah, and then they basically deleted all their posts, slapped their face on it, because even though all that following, maybe a lot of their followers, as a matter of fact, a lot of followers on many accounts probably don't even go to their accounts anymore. I mean, people who have like 1 million followers on something, there's probably a good like 5% or so that actually don't access that account anymore, but that account is forever still following. So, but because of that sheer number, it would boost them in the algorithms. So that's why you always see them pop up on your page. I made a new X account just to see what it'd be like. And the Cranchestein brothers, both of them were within the first couple of swipes. That's why you
crazy.
can buy influence. Yeah, you can buy that influence. And it has nothing to do with what they post. It has everything to do with the fact that they have a bunch of followers, which then boosts their posts up into the top.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I want to segue into somebody else that I also think is really fucking dumb, and that would be Candace Owens. I mean, we knew we were going to get there tonight. All right. I have been just... She had an interview with Nick Fuentes. I don't know why Candace is like getting on board with the Groyper movement. It's not gonna end well for her. These people are savage. Look what they did to Dean Withers, okay? Dean Withers had a debate with Nick Fuentes literally the next day. All of the shit that Dean Withers has ever said or has ever fucking done is just blasted. Just blasted. Him saying the N-word, him saying the F-word to the rainbow community, him talking about all the money that he has, bragging about being rich, and if you're not rich, then you're just a fucking loser.
The Louis Vuitton bag.
The Louis Vuitton bag, the fucking journal or the novel, whatever he was fucking writing, the advice page that he was doing. All of that shit got leaked like the next day after his conversation with Nick Fuentes.
It reminds me of that bit from Family Guy when he's like, why you poor? Why am I rich? Why you still poor? Why you do this? Why am I rich? Buy my system now. Like, that's what he was selling. He was like, get rich quick scheme salesman. That's what he was doing in his early career, if we'll call it that.
Well, and let's just remember, this kid was like, what? 16, sitting in his car with a little bag full of money, and he was like, I got this bag, this has got like I forgot how much money he said. I thought he said it was like $1 million or at least a couple $1,000s, and
I think it was $250,000. I think it was 250,000. That's what he said.
He's like, I'm so rich, and then meanwhile he's like bitching about rich people all day on the internet. It's like, yeah, that probably wasn't a good look. But back to Riri Owens.
He's ambitious.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna start calling her Riri Owens because this is like Rihanna 2.0. I just wish Nick Fuentes would just go full Chris Brown and just someone's got to
He
do it.
he held back. I would gonna give him some credit on this one. I was expecting after what she had said it would be worse, but he came in at a very smooth pace. Not how I would have handled it. Not what I so
Well, here's how that went, and I think Candace ended up, I don't know, probably regretting this and then having a meltdown the next day.
If you are, do you attend the mass?
I do.
Like, do you go every Sunday?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so you're like a committed Catholic. Then obviously, like, you know, the perspectives on family. I mean, I personally, and this would be me lecturing, but I just feel like you really have no idea who you are until you start a family. And whether that means just marriage, some people who are struggling to have children, okay, fine. But there's such a growth that happens because of that I think it informs your beliefs in so many ways. And I think that was a huge turning point for me. Like, I wonder if I had been pressed with everything that happened last year, if I didn't have like the unshaken faith and my family, what would I have done? And sometimes when I see the things that you say, I do think, okay, he doesn't take into account family. Like, it's just Nick. Nick is in his own world, which can be, I think, a quite selfish perspective, which is fine. That's what you're saying. You like being
Hey,
selfish.
Millie, you wanna
There's no
pause that
right to
really
say what
quick?
you just said. I like.
the volume seems to just be slightly low on it. Go ahead. I'd go up and turn up the desktop volume just like by a hair.
Okay.
Just by a hair. And then turn it back down because you're gonna make me super loud. But go ahead,
Okay.
you should be good now.
Being selfish, and I don't want to give of myself to somebody else. But
Well,
do you?
I also think there's something selfless involved, which is to say, I could go and start a family and drag them into a world of mine, which is pretty chaotic. You know, I mean, is this really the kind of a lifestyle? If I'm banned on everything and I can't make a living, I'm banned from banking, I'm banned from credit card processing, I'm getting doxxed, people are showing up to my house trying to kill me, things like that. And what's more, I mean, let's also get, you know, I also don't appreciate the lecture. You don't know me, you know, so I know you're married. I know you're older than me, but you don't know me. You don't know my life. You don't know my situation. I don't think you're in a position to give me advice, especially as a woman, honestly. I don't think women, you know, this is something in the right wing. We say we're anti-feminist, and then women go around telling men what to do who are not their husbands. And, you know, I don't really buy into that ideologically, but that's besides the point. You know, my life has been tumultuous from the very beginning.
Roasted. Just
Yeah,
absolute roasting.
I think he could have explained that a little better. Like you hear this often, hear this time that you know, you hear the term mansplain a lot, but I think women'splain is could be equally as bad, or definitely actually as bad. It's trying to understand a man and the way they think is hysterical because I don't really hear men saying necessarily what women should or what they think. I think what you hear when men, the misogynistic men, is like what women should be doing. But women try to, a lot of women like Candace try to claim that they understand the way men think, like the way you know the stoicism, the masculinity, and just in general how we carry ourselves. And not to say that women are wrong necessarily on this entirely, but it's they try to put people and men in boxes, and that's what Candace was trying to do. She was trying to, you know, look at the point of view of like marriage through the men's point of view or through the men's eyes, and assert her positions on it, not actually fully understanding what that actually is, because she can't. I don't go around pretending to understand how women think about things. I don't go around pretending, you know, or stating what women should and should not be doing necessarily. But that's exactly what she did. In defense of in defense of femininity, she used very what's the word, misandric style of rhetoric, trying to explain to Nick how he should be feeling, and trying to tell him that she understands where he's coming from because he doesn't have a family and everything else in between. I thought it was incredibly insulting, and that's why I would have went way fucking harder on her. I think he went really soft, and he was extremely kind, and I don't think he should have been. I think he was way too nice.
I think that Candace has a little bit of an ego. obviously from the things that you've seen come out of her mouth recently. But I think, and I don't agree with Nick Fuentes on a lot. There's a lot of things that I disagree with Nick Fuentes on. However, I think that he was valid in saying, why would I have a family? What kind of hell am I going to bring a child into when I have the political views that I have? Where he's right. People that have those type of beliefs, they get debanked. They can't earn a living. Good luck getting a job. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, if streaming doesn't work out for you on voicing your political beliefs openly, it may be very hard for you to get a job. It may be hard for you to go out and live a normal life. I get unalive threats. I'm not sure if you get them yet or
I don't
on your
usually
way.
broadcast them. Yeah, I don't usually broadcast them because I think that encourages people. So I don't like to be specific on it, but yeah, I've received a fair share.
Yeah, and so, we're not even at the level that Nick Fuentes and Candace are at. So they're probably getting 10 times the amount of threats that we get. So I think he has a valid point. Why would I bring a wife and a child into the chaos of the world
he's
that I live in?
doxxed. Yeah. Everyone knows where he lives. I mean, he had that woman show up. Why'd she knock on the door? He pepper sprayed her, which I think rightfully so. What reasoning? Why would you show up to Nick Fuentes' house? You don't know who he is. You're not a friend. You're not a family member. You were obviously there to do something negative. So I think his response was correct. I'm not defending Nick Fuentes' positions on a lot of things. I think that, I think some of the things he talks about, I would argue I'm completely against. But I mean, there are a few things. I mean, the clock's right twice a day at least, right? And in his case, I would say maybe a little bit more often than that. I'm not trying to disparage Nick in every facet, but I think he's articulate. He's very smart. He's grassroots as it gets. I mean, working for the Daily Wire initially as a young man, to his lead up to his villain arc story, which he's gone over a number of times. I kind of understand. I kind of understand his point of view. Is his saying his life was tumultuous at the very beginning. For those who don't know, it's quite dark. So I do encourage you to look into it. But there's a reason why he got to where he's at. And again, just because he had a tumultuous past doesn't mean I agree with what he has to say. But something has to be said for the man who has had his house doxxed. He's had a man show up after killing people, show up to kill him, and then that man getting in a gunfight with police officers not too long afterwards and end up getting killed. I don't even know where that ended. Actually, I should probably look into that story. Did you hear about that story? A man showed up at his house trying to kill him after he killed 2 other people. I believe it was 2 other people. Showed up at his house.
I haven't looked deep into Nick Fuentes and all the things that he believes. I tend to try to detach myself from whatever is happening on the deeper right side of the aisle, because
Same.
I don't like to really be associated with that. And so sometimes I feel like the political outlook and the optics of, if I align myself or sympathize with these people too much, then I get placed into a basket with them. So I disconnect myself from that. So
I get what you're saying.
A lot of people face political threats. People have death threats. People show up at people's houses, whether they're on the left side of the aisle or the right side of the aisle. I think that happens for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to align with Nick, but I'm just saying that I understand what he was trying to say there. Most of what I see from Nick is clips. I see clips of his crazy stuff more often than his normal stuff, where he's just talking about, basic societal stuff, what he expects society should, act like, not necessarily the racial stuff. I think that's silly and gross, and I would never stand behind that. I'm just saying that what he's saying makes complete sense, and that she should have already known that before making such a dumb comment. She knows that Nick has had people show up to his house to try to kill him multiple times.
Well, to say that, I think the other part of what she was saying is that, you don't really know who you are until you have a family. Well, I think that's not necessarily true. I think having a family puts you in a completely different category of personhood, because when you don't have kids, I mean, you're just looking out for your own needs and the needs of your spouse if you're married and stuff like that. But once you start creating a family unit, now you have to worry about something other than just yourself. Now you have to put another being before you, I'm not going to eat until my children have eaten. I'm not going to worry about my needs until the needs of my children have been met. You know, it kind of puts you in a different mentality. I don't really know how to explain it for people that don't have kids, but I think for most people that are parents, it kind of puts you in a completely different mindset of like everything that my kids needs comes before my own. And so, maybe that's what Candace was
But
talking
maybe we can
about
agree on
there,
this
but
though. Maybe we can agree on this though. I don't think that banks should be able to block people, right? Like Stripe, because they don't agree with their political views, no matter how extreme necessarily they are, right? So we had Knowles.
Michael
Knowles had
Knowles.
his
Yep.
Michael Knowles had his banking stripped away from him because of his political views. I think that not Michael Knowles and Nick Fuentes, even though yes, they're both on the right, but they're very different in terms of their perception on like, racial issues and this and that. No, well,
Which is
I
scary.
don't think
I think that
these corporations should be able to do that.
they need to make a federal law making that illegal, that you can't discriminate against people for their political views and say, because you have political views that I don't like, I now get to discriminate against you and take your banking away from you. Right? I think that's a scary position to be in. And maybe we need to, in a capitalist mindset, come up with a conservative banking structure for conservatives so we don't have to worry that
But we shouldn't have to do that.
you shouldn't have to do that. And I do think that civil rights should cover speech, that a private business like a banking structure should not be able to take away your ability to swipe a debit card. I think that's the problem with the monopoly structure that has been laid out. And that can be considered a flaw, I guess, in some ways with capitalism, is that it's really just Visa and MasterCard. There's not really other payment structures other than like what? PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle.
But they all align. I mean,
Yes.
they all align together. But that's a big problem because you see, listen, there are plenty of people on the left that say insane things like all whites need to die and the most horrific things possible. But I've yet to hear a story coming out from them that they've been removed or not allowed to obtain a bank account.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I hear it constantly. I hear it constantly from the right. Like someone's like, yeah, I think they say things like, I think blacks and whites should be separated. I don't think so, but that's what they say. And they get removed from the banking accounts and they're not allowed to have any sort of access to even getting on a plane. But yet on the left, the far left, the Marxist level of BLM kind of people who are saying, whites are the devils, whites will be the future slaves, all whites need to just go away. They don't get removed off the banking systems. They don't get put on no-fly lists. I've yet to hear a single story going the other direction.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of this is capitalized by the left, and the left tries to pretend like the millionaires and billionaires aren't on their side of the aisle, but they are. So the people that bitch so much about wealthy people and all of these people that have all of this power and control economically, they're all leftists. Bill Gates, before him, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk used to be on the left. Now he walked away because they're absolutely psychopaths now. I mean, all of these people end up still being Democrats. All of Hollywood, look at Hollywood, man. All of those people are ultra rich. They get invited to the Met Gala. These people are seriously wealthy people. And they're all on the left.
Yeah, they're all on the left.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
Speaking of crazy, after this interview that we saw with Nick Fuentes, Candace went a little bit even more crazy. If you think that this woman isn't crazy enough, right?
I was going to say.
Calling Elon Musk a fucking robot. Like, where are we? Where are we? Like, this woman is talking about summoning demons. She's talking about, like, if I stab Elon Musk, will he bleed? Like, lizard people. We've gotten
what was
into
that video?
that metric.
What was that video where she was just like doing her head back and forth, doing some weird stuff? I don't know if you.
It's kind of crazy. Like that.
Yeah,
that one,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
my
creepy.
goodness.
It's creepy. I don't know. Shit, it gives me the ick.
By the way, I want to remind you though, she posted that. See, I think all this is clout. She posted that video with Nick Fuentes. She posted that. That wasn't live. That was cut
She
and edited,
watched it
and then
still went with it.
it still posted it. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, she kind of got put in her place, if I'm being honest. I mean, she someone needs to come through and check her ego. I think that the ego that she has on the conspiracy theories that she's promoting, she's now saying the feds are the ones that took out Charlie Kirk. Elon Musk is a robot. I'm just waiting for her to go full lizard people. Like, just say you believe in lizard people. That's the next one I'm waiting for. None of this comes receipts,
Nobody's
by
gonna
the
be
way.
surprised. We're not gonna be surprised by that if she's starting to talk about lizard people. I mean, she's the listen. Actually, you know what? I was about to actually disparage Alex Jones, but Alex Jones seems sane as shit compared to this woman right now.
Yes. So here is Candace Owens referring to Elon Musk as possibly being not human.
Leading people into AI, I have always sensed this demonic because I'm telling you, I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night.
Sure
you
they're
know,
hybrid.
like my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I know I'm human, but I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed. You know, I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean? And I just get that sense. I've always known it was demonic.
Crazy as shit.
Like, the worst part about it is that you have like 300,000 people watch her every day that are going, no, seriously, that makes sense. Damn it, that's legit. What do you mean?
But she turned her camera on, recorded this, and watched it over and thought to herself, "Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'll post that. That looks good. That makes sense." I mean, she's doing this after the fact. If this was live streamed, I'd give her a little bit of grace. But this is all this stuff she's been posting has been recorded, edited, color corrected, audio adjusted, and then posted.
Yes.
This isn't like.
And look, there's some conspiracy theories that have been proven to be true. So I won't completely disregard every conspiracy theory. But to say that Elon Musk is a fucking robot is just a little bit crazy. I think that one's really, really out there. And then she goes on to talk about these people are summoning demons. They're summoning demons. Like, can we watch that? Do you have that on video? Like, I'm still waiting for the receipts.
Let me see. Let me see if I can find it here. Maybe I can get it to you.
What, of summoning demons? Is there going to be a gargoyle that like pops up from the little like pentagram on the floor?
Dude, it was in her eyes. I don't know. I wish I bookmarked this. But she was like going back and forth and back and forth.
Oh, yes.
And it was just like,
I know the one that you're talking about. I do, because I saw that one. It was seriously weird, but
I wish I would have thought of it earlier.
Send it to me on Discord and I can show it. But I think that on the 30th we get the next hearing for Tyler Robinson. And the prosecution said, look, we have an overabundance of discovery, which tells me they have a shit ton of evidence in this case. I mean, DNA, fingerprints, text messages, Discord messages, corroborating evidence. Like, there is so much evidence in this case to show that it was indeed Tyler Robinson. So it's gonna look really bad for her once all of this stuff starts coming out. It's going to look really bad for her if the feds have the video that she's talking about. Remember the SD card video she was referencing, saying nobody else has seen this. I've only seen this. This guy didn't turn this into the feds. So if the feds end up having that video, will that basically show that she is a liar? Because if the feds have it, that means that the guy with the SD card did turn it in. You know?
I just sent you the little clip of her little head movement,
the crazy
weirdness she was doing. Yeah. There's a longer version of it though. I'm trying to find, but that's at least the backbone of it.
It's giving. I don't know. It's giving like this chick is off her meds. I don't know how else to make that more apparent, but it is what it is. Hold on just one second. You don't get to ask those questions. I gotta move it to the right browser here.
I got you.
But it's like it's the way that she's doing it that I'm like, why did you have to say it like that? It's just a little weird. Like if you're talking about there's something in the eyes, if you're looking at Elon Musk and saying, man, there's something in his eyes, like,
what about your eyes, girl? What is
like this is reading crazy ass bitch. Like it's giving Kanye West.
You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared? You don't get to ask.
There's a longer one I'm trying to find because it goes further in.
If I ever,
but I'm struggling.
Listen, if I ever get to this point where I'm podcasting and it gets to this, just Baker act me, okay? Just go ahead and make the phone call, okay? Some ain't right. Some ain't right. Some ain't right.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Some ain't right. One of the best videos of all time. I should make that as a plug for the live. That'd be good too.
Make it a plug, because I'm telling you, man, Candace Owens is probably going to get really embarrassed within the next few months once this discovery is released. It's gonna disprove a lot of the things that she has said. Now, there has been some things that she has released as far as like, I know it took almost 3.5 weeks to get one text message that backed up one of the claims that she made. The issue being is that Andrew Colvett said, I gave that to the feds. I gave that to the feds. I didn't give that to anybody else. So if she got a hold of that, does that mean that she also got that from the feds that she says that she doesn't trust?
Like somebody on the inside's feeding her this information?
I think so. I think that she's got someone feeding her information on the inside. I really do.
The problem that I have with the way she's been doing this is that if Charlie was really your friend, if this is all very true, why are we doing this episodically? Like, just dump it. Just dump it all on the internet. Just do it. If you actually cared about any of this, you would just drop all this information. Not tune in next week for more information, disappear for a weekend, and just leave because I think it's all clout. It's all a clout chase. That's all.
100%. Like I really do I think that Candace Owens thinks that TPUSA belongs to her. I truly think she thinks that. I truly think that. I don't think she's a friend to Charlie Kirk. May God, like I said many times, may God never send me a friend like Candace Owens. Because in the wake of me unaliving, having someone who claims to be my friend come in and accuse the company that I've built from the ground up as being involved in my murder, to accuse the company that is now being headed by my wife or my spouse, right? And you come in and you try to defame this company into non-existence. I've said this many times. TPUSA will be very lucky if they actually survive in the future, okay? Because its front runner is gone. So it's going to take a lot of fighting for TPUSA to make it. And that's going to be very hard for them to do without Charlie Kirk.
Do you think they can actually survive? Do you think TPUSA is actually going to come out at the end of this in a positive way?
I don't think so. I think that
I don't either.
I think that even without Candace Owens making the claims that she made, I think it'll slowly die out. It just won't have the front movement that it had when Charlie Kirk was alive, constantly doing debates, constantly promoting TPUSA. Charlie Kirk was TPUSA. Like let's just be clear. Okay, without Charlie, I think it's not going to survive because it doesn't have the charisma that Charlie had. If that makes sense. I just don't think it'll make it. So I think that Candace Owens is going to be the nail in TPUSA. Unfortunately, I hate to say that.
Well, they put all their eggs in one basket. That's the problem. You know, I think they would have been smart to put people out there as much as Charlie, and not just like send people out there, but give them spotlight, give them a camera team. You know, you can't put all your eggs onto one person. Obviously, Charlie is the face. He was the bread and the butter, the backbone. He was everything to TPUSA, but that's because they created it that way. Well, they should have been a lot more spread out.
Imagine if Daily Wire lost Ben Shapiro, right? Say Ben Shapiro just gone. Okay. Daily Wire would break apart. Matt Walsh, I think, would go his own way. I think that Michael Knowles would also go his own way.
I think Matt could handle himself though. I think Matt, out of all the hosts, I think maybe even Knowles. I think Knowles would be okay too. But I think you're correct. I think you might be overall correct. But I think that Matt would be able to hold it up himself. Personally, I do.
Yeah, I personally don't think that Daily Wire would survive without Ben Shapiro being at the forefront. He's kind of like the main driver of Daily Wire.
Yeah.
So without that, these separate mainstream
But we know those
people
names,
like
is my
Matt
point,
Walsh
though.
and Michael Knowles, yeah, but they would just
Well,
go off
we know
and
those
do their own
names.
thing. You know,
But they would do great though. They would do great things.
They would,
You know,
but
look at
Daily Wire would crumble.
yes, Daily Wire itself would crumble, but they built multiple personalities that are still kind of going towards the same-ish goal. Where TPUSA, name all the members. Give me like 4 predominant TPUSA creators. I mean, most people won't be able to answer that question, but I can name pretty much everyone in the Daily Wire roster. You know, because they prop these people up, and they gave them their own show, and it kind of allowed them to have more or less free reign. And you got to remember, I mean, Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh are Catholics, where Ben Shapiro is a Jewish man. So I think where Daily Wire did it correctly is that they didn't just put all their eggs onto Ben Shapiro or into that basket, is that they allowed other people to cultivate their own audience more or less independently. And I think that was what Daily Wire did way smarter than TPUSA did.
Yes. However, I think I'm going to lay true with the fact that if Ben Shapiro were to, unfortunately, something happens to him, I think that these people would just break apart and Daily Wire would crumble, and Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles would just build up their own empire behind their own movement.
Absolutely.
And their own.
Yeah, I mean, look at Brett Cooper. Yeah, you're right. Like Brett Cooper is a good example. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Daily Wire, the name Daily Wire would break away, but the audience, the movement itself doesn't need a name. It doesn't necessarily need a brand name. It goes far beyond that. Like when I watch Matt Walsh, the fact that he signed with Daily Wire is not at the forefront of my mind. Same thing with Michael Knowles. That's their umbrella, right? But they themselves is the reason why I watch their stuff. It has nothing to do, like same thing with Charlie Kirk. Like, yeah, Charlie Kirk was the face of TPUSA, but TPUSA wasn't what I thought about when I thought Charlie Kirk. It was his message. It was him as a brand, and TPUSA was the umbrella. But that's why I listened to Charlie, was because of that. It had nothing to do with Turning Point in itself. It had everything to do with Charlie himself. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Charlie Kirk made a name for himself off of being an amazing debater. I think that he was, someone who was way beyond his time, and the amount of knowledge that he was able to walk around with and archive up here. I mean, you understand, like as a debater, you kind of have to archive a lot of information up there to just be rapid on the go with your responses. And I think that Charlie was really
that's
good
why
with
I'm
that.
surrounded by. That's why I'm always surrounded by a mountain of
Your sticky
dysfunctional sticky notes. I live my life one sticky note at a time. My desk is a disaster. It is an absolute disaster.
Live your life by sticky notes. Hey, maybe one day you make your own sticky note brand,
Hell yeah.
Do it that
yeah,
that
absolutely.
way.
Maybe like a transparent like thing in the background where it's just, kind of visible, where you can just see me pointing at you. Hell yeah.
All right, to
Be on brand.
transition really quick for one of the other things that we were going to go over. Officers open fire on a U-Haul truck after a driver ignores multiple verbal commands to stop as it reverses into the entrance of a U.S. Coast Guard base in California. This is crazy because this is exactly what would happen if you did try to mess with a military base. You're going to be met with this kind of force.
Backed up at a ridiculous high speed.
I mean, I think that's crazy.
Look how fast he's backing up. That person was intentionally, this is the point I was actually making. I'm glad you're playing this video. Is that what I was referencing when it came to MAGA Cult Slayer? That's the exact video he was trying to say. He was trying to say that, let me see if I can, did I lose it? But he was trying to paint it as if it was the agent's fault and the reason why that was happening. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Play that again one more time, Millie. Show me how fast that truck is going backwards. That thing is speeding. That dude, he's slamming on the gas. Look at that. nobody backs up that quick unless you're trying to harm somebody.
Well, and the interesting part is I live on a military base, okay? So, like, not only are the gate guards going to give you multiple verbal commands to leave, okay? So, like, the gate that we have is crazy. Like, you can't come through. They will click a button, and these tire slashing prongs will pop up. Then they have, like, a whole ass wall that they can just press a button and an entire wall will just shoot up to stop you from going into the barricade that they set up. So I know for a fact, just from living on a military installation myself, that if you take an approach like this towards a military installation, you are going to be met with force. You are going to be met with this response. And I can tell you right now for a fact that these people were given multiple warnings to stop before it got to this. I mean, just watching the people have to run from the ricochet from the pew-pews that are ricocheting off of this truck, I think it's crazy. There is nobody in their right mind that would understand any reason why you in a U-Haul truck would reverse rapidly towards a military base. These people aren't playing around. They have to deal with active threats all the time to military installations, and it's just yet another example. And I'm not surprised that this is happening in California. I'm not surprised at all that it would get to this in California. So I'm worried for our country when people are put in positions for federal law enforcement where you have more increased attacks, more people that are trying to kill federal agents, more people trying to attack our military. Our military, unfortunately, has to go through a lot of these things. They shouldn't have to, but they do, because people are crazy. People don't care. So, yeah. I'm not surprised that they were pew-pewed at. That would be exactly the response that they would be met with when this kind of stuff happens. So
Sorry, I was muted. What reasoning could he possibly have to back up so quickly? I mean, what justification could you possibly say, oh, I had to stop, I had to put it in reverse, and I had to just gas it all the way down? What excuse could you possibly have to justify that?
There's none. Because okay, for example, and this happens all the time at our base, people will just show up to base. They won't have a military ID, and they do something, it's called a turnaround. So they'll take your driver's license, and then they'll put up a barricade so nobody can come in and nobody can come out. These people will instruct you to turn your vehicle around, and then you have to exit out from the military base, going the opposite direction while all of the barricades are up. So, and then before you leave the military base, because they have your driver's license in hand, they will say, here's your license, and then send you out the gate. So these people will never have a chance to actually get on. So I don't really know what the reason being for doing that. I don't think there is one. I think this person is just crazy. I think we're going to get a lot more information about this guy over a period of time.
Do we know if there was an arrest made here? I'm trying to find this.
I would assume so. I would assume that the military police got him.
Let's see.
I don't see any way that the police would let that guy run off after.
Remind me the location of that. Where did that happen again?
California. Let me see if I can grab it real quick.
Yeah. I'm curious to see where that's at this moment, because I haven't seen any updates personally. I do know somebody was shot though, so they had to have caught him or caught the driver.
It was a Coast Guard military base, which makes it a little bit weird.
Yeah, Coast Guard military base.
All right, let's see. FBI investigating currently investigating a shooting that happened in California where Coast Guard police fired at a U-Haul driver who reversed towards them. The incident took place Thursday night near the entrance of the Coast Guard Island. This is the exact same location where there was a massive protest against federal agents coming to the city. The federal government called off the feds coming in just hours before they were supposed to arrive. San Francisco Democratic Mayor Daniel Lurie announced that he spoke to the President Donald Trump and focused on public safety and doesn't need federal agents in the city. So I'm not sure. They haven't given a name for this person yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, you probably have them in an investigation room right now trying to get down to, who's working with you, what kind of connections. They're going through his cell phones, his emails, every electronic thing he has.
It said that the truck driver is also being reportedly evaluated for mental health concerns, but they didn't give a name.
I mean, that's the left, objectively. They should all be evaluated for mental health concerns. I mean, these people are being encouraged, like we were talking about earlier, that this type of action, these people think they're heroes. They're being convinced that they're heroes. They're being mobilized and encouraged to do these kinds of things. And this isn't the fringed left doing this. This is Democrat leadership doing this. These are Democrat congressional members. You have people like Eric Swalwell calling Donald Trump Hitler. We have, and they're pushing this forward. They're mobilizing these people. Well, if I do these horrible things to these bad Gestapo, the Schutzstaffel, then I'm going to be looked at as a hero. They're being convinced that they're freedom fighters, that they're doing the world a good by going after our own agents and our own military. It all boils down to the same thing.
I'm just trying to understand why this person's name wasn't released, because this is a fucking U-Haul. Okay, somebody rented out this U-Haul. Someone's name is on record.
Yep.
They evaluated this man, but why didn't the media leak out who this person was? I mean, we're going to find out who he is. But, I mean, it really pisses me off that the left, again, keeps making permission structures. So now it's not just federal agents being attacked. Now you have the military getting attacked. Now you have Coast Guard getting attacked. For what?
Coast Guard of all people.
Well,
you don't even hear about the Coast Guard.
I think that this ties into the Pete Hegseth thing, if I'm being honest. Where the situation is that essentially, I think the Coast Guard is playing somewhat of an involvement in the not the pew-pewings, but the boomings of these vessels that are coming in through the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So even just gonna funnel right into this. So yeah, Pete Hegseth said overnight, at the direction of President Trump, the Department of War carried out a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by Tren de Aragua, a designated terrorist organization trafficking narcotics in the Caribbean Sea. And so I think this kind of plays a role into what they're doing with the Coast Guard and why they're attacking the Coast Guard specifically.
Sure. What I'm supposed to be convinced, though, that these are fishing boats. I'm not seeing any buoys. I'm not seeing any nets being cast. I'm just seeing most of these boats are at maximum speed, jumping across the water. What do you think? You think that Donald Trump is going? I mean, honestly, they're posting this for a reason, right? I would assume eventually the documents for these boat blow-ups are going to fully be declassified and released, because there's too much confidence. You wouldn't normally post these videos because they don't have to. There's no need for the White House to actually be posting these videos on Twitter or anything else. What makes me believe is that there is a lot of credible evidence, but they're not wanting to give up that evidence because they would have to then disclose how they got this information to begin with. So I think in the next coming years, we're going to see, maybe, I hate to wait, but I understand we can't be privy to all the information. Otherwise, we won't be able to get anything done. Because we'd have to expose our means and how we got this information or this intel to begin with. But I find it hard to believe that this information is just based off of, I feel like this is a drug boat, blow it up. I think it goes way beyond that. And I think these people like the Krajewski brothers who want to say, oh, due process and blah, shut up. None of you people were bitching when
Obama did it.
Yeah, when Obama was dropping Hellfire missiles on American citizens. Yeah, so again, cue the fake outrage. It's just so tiresome. It really is. They don't have to post this. That's all I'm trying to say. They don't have to post these videos, but they're doing it because I think there's absolute confidence. I feel like their intelligence is so confident, so perfect that they feel confident in posting this stuff because they know that for a fact that they're killing drug mules, essentially. They're taking out drug runners.
Well, people have to remember, on a boat, it's the same way that operates with airplanes. Like, the Coast Guard can communicate with you on dispatch. They could be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, this is the U.S. Coast Guard. This is the U.S. military. What is your purpose for being here?" And when these people don't respond, when these people keep trudging towards our shores, and we say, "This is the U.S. Coast Guard. We're going to ask you to stop your vehicle. If you don't stop your vehicle, we're going to respond with force." And so I'm sick and tired. The Coast Guard has done this for years where they've even stopped people. You've seen the video of the Coast Guard pounding on a submarine. These people got a fucking hold of a sub transporting narcotics to our shores. And they think they're slick. They're not slick. And then the Krastenstein bros saying, "Oh, well, there's no such thing as private submarines." Bro, what? We saw a Titan submersible get fucking imploded underwater, and you're saying there's no such thing as a private submarine?
Well, also, there's documented evidence of cartels utilizing submarines to move narcotics into the United States. I mean, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of videos on YouTube. It takes a very simple Google search. I mean, to think that people or especially cartels, are incapable of buying submarines is the dumbest take I've ever heard. Obviously, you could. I could. If I had the money, if I just had the money to buy a submarine, I could do that. I don't need to be a member of a cartel to do that. I just can't believe these people, man. The clout chase is real. It's crazy.
You don't need licenses for it. You don't need any permits for it. You could just go out there and get a fucking submarine. That's how the Titan submersible that was going down to see the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean, they didn't have fucking licenses to do that. They didn't have fucking permits to do that. They were just a private business being like, "Yeah, no, sign this waiver and we'll take you down to go look at the Titanic through this like tiny little porthole." And people did it.
It's crazy. Not just people did it. Billionaires did it. Millionaires and billionaires seeking adventure did it, because they've already done everything else in the world, right? They've been to the highest mountains. They've been to the sexiest beaches. Yeah. And now we have to go underwater in this shady ass little submarine to go look at the Titanic. I mean, what else do you do with your life? You have all the money in the world. You've already done everything else. You've already done all the stuff. So this is the one thing you haven't done yet. So
just raise your hand if you actually thought those people survived that. Like when you heard that submarine was missing, did you actually think they were gonna live?
I mean, I honestly think I believe that they died quickly. So that's good. I think it was extremely fast. That pressure just bam, crush in, instant.
But just instant. You remember people that were like holding out hope that this submarine was sitting at like the bottom of the ocean and they were just running out of air. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I just kept X closed. Yeah, I stopped opening X for at least a good 6 to 8 hours because I'm like, I'm tired of seeing all this post about this thing. Guys, they're dead. They're dead. What are we doing here? We know they're dead. There's no way they're alive.
He just coping. It's really sad too because one of the people, it's a father that like convinced his young son to go down there. You know that mother was pissed because you know she said a million times like, "Stop going down there to see the fucking Titanic. It's just a dumb ship at the bottom of the ocean." Then you got your son killed over it. It's just this is awful.
Well, it's just, listen, I'm not to disparage rich people. I feel like what I had stated might have seemed callous, as if rich people. No, I'm just saying. All I'm trying to say is that once you've done everything and you've experienced most that you can experience on this planet, you're obviously going to be seeking the next thing. I would probably do the same thing had I had an infinite amount of money in my bank account. So I'm not faulting them for that. I'm just saying rich people are capable of making really stupid choices just as much as poor people. That's my only point I'm trying to make.
100%. But I support what the Department of War is doing. I think that we wasted 20 years in the Middle East on something that I think the drugs that are coming out of South and Central America are actually killing more U.S. citizens than Islamic Jihad. I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
Oh, it's not even close.
This is really affecting us at a grand scale. I would have rather have seen us invest all the money that we invested in tracking down ISIS and Al Qaeda and all of that into going into the cartels that are killing Americans day in and day out with the substances that they're funneling into our borders. I would love to see that would have been the war on drugs, would have been more worth our time. But
Yeah, I mean, I've had 3 people personally that have lost their lives because of the fentanyl that's been moved through. 2 very close to me. One kind of lost, over time, just natural, separation. But I still consider them my friend. I've seen it hit directly at home, and yeah, the amount of deaths that have come from the cartels, whether it be from Mexico, Venezuela, or what have you. I understand, Venezuela, they're not manufacturing fentanyl, but they're still moving drugs into the United States that is ultimately killing people. And even though they themselves are not actually producing fentanyl, fentanyl is being laced into the drugs that they're moving here. I mean, I don't know if you remember the joke that Theo Vaughn made with JD Vance. It was kind of funny, right? When he goes, "Man, you can't even do cocaine in this country anymore." And the point being is that all the drugs are laced. I mean, as simple as just marijuana. It takes very little amounts of fentanyl to kill somebody. So yeah, they're not growing. They're not necessarily growing marijuana that people purchase in the United States. But they are using fentanyl to lace it in hopes that some people will get addicted to that whatever strain they're using. It can be crappy pot or what have you. But if they're lacing it, they're not necessarily trying to kill people, but they don't understand how toxic fentanyl is and how very little amounts can kill a lot of people. So yeah, I'm totally in for with this intervention. I really hope that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump and the administration keeps pushing this forward and getting these drug cartels, at least discouraging them from ever wanting to move product into our country again. I love this. I'm 100% for this.
I agree. I think that I'm tired of seeing our cities be overran by narcotics. I think you probably see this where you live. I know in Seattle, it's bad. Like, I can't even take my kids to a playground without worrying whether or not some junkie left a dirty needle on the playground. That kind of stuff terrifies me. I'm sick and tired of seeing this play out. And the Democrats' response to this is, oh, well, just, we'll just give them a clean place to shoot up. That's not how you handle this. Enablement is not the way you handle addiction. The way you handle addiction is you have to have an intervention. You have to stop these people from doing what they're doing. It comes with stopping the drugs from getting in. And the other half of it is to get these people into treatment. I'm tired of just like, oh, just leave it alone. Everything will be fine. That's not working. That approach has not worked for these people, and it's not going to continue to work. So I want to see Pete Hegseth crack down on the cartels that are bringing this shit in here. And I want to see the National Guard, the FBI do their job. The DEA, by the way, that also does these busts as well. Stop the addiction crisis that's going on. I think it really is one of the biggest issues in our country right now, because addiction does lead to crime. Being intoxicated on these substances causes people to commit violent crime. It causes people to commit burglaries, breaking and entering, breaking into people's cars. This has a chain reaction of crime that comes along with substance abuse. So Right. Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. This isn't just about people accidentally, overdosing. This also plays into other crimes. And a lot of those crimes are motivated by, reaching out to get more of the substance. They get high on these products, and then in order for them to, well, how are we going to afford this, my next dose of this or that? They start committing violent crimes, breaking and entering, even murder, whatever it takes. By any means, I need to obtain the money in order to purchase my next high. It is a constant spiraling downfall. And yeah, even when we're not talking about fentanyl specifically, but if you just talk about these highly addictive drugs such as cocaine, methamphetamine. I mean, obviously they manufacture that here in the United States and all over. But it's just in general, if we could just mitigate it as much as possible. Because the fact of the matter is, yes, just like you said at the beginning of what you're saying, or this whole topic, is that, yes, the cartels have killed way more U.S. citizens than the Islamic jihadists could ever even hope for, that they could never could imagine. It's not even kind of close. Well, well, just think about it, right? If we'd actually cracked down on fentanyl and narcotics, maybe George Floyd wouldn't have died. Maybe George Floyd wouldn't have went to that store and tried to, exchange counterfeit money that ended up in him getting unalived. Maybe we wouldn't have so much crime that's going on. And I know that people think that what the executive branch is doing is extreme, but extreme problems come with extreme solutions. Something has to be done. And I think that's what the American people want to see change. People want to see someone doing something about the laws in this country actually being enforced. So,
right. And
take.
we talk about the border all the time too. Yeah. It's all about enforcement. The issue we saw under the Biden administration was a lack of enforcement of laws that already existed on the books. Donald Trump isn't utilizing something or any laws that hasn't already that hasn't already existed since the 1950s. But it's up to the president to decide. Whoa, did we just shut off? Really there?
No, we're here.
Okay.
You're good.
I'm sorry, my screen just went black. But yeah, it's the willingness to actually apply those laws. So I mean, it's much like look in California. We obviously have laws in place that makes marijuana federally illegal, and California makes it, well, no, we're gonna allow it to be legal. Well, that's not federally allowed. At any point in time, the federal government can come in and be like, you're done selling marijuana in the state. You're done. Because again, that's when we go back to the supremacy clause, right? But they don't do that because we choose to apply that law at the behest of the president of the United States. They get to choose that, or the State Department. They get to choose whether they want to go after that or not. Now, that also goes towards the border. When we had under the Biden administration suing Texas, trying to defend its own borders, having them remove barbed wire fences and water blockades back I believe it was in 2022, 2023. That was not only the president deciding what or the administration, the Biden administration deciding what laws are taking into effect. They're also strong arming a state from protecting its own borders on top of it. So
100%.
that's a yeah. So I just I don't think we need more laws. The laws are already there. We need a president in office who's willing to actually apply those laws. Just like he said, turns out we don't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We didn't need new laws. We just needed a new president. And absolutely, the moment Donald Trump took office, the crossings basically went to zero.
And I agree. And I think that maybe most people in the country didn't know it could be this easy to get the crossings down. We didn't change any laws. We didn't pass any new border legislation. You just have the president of the United States that has basically told everybody, we're not fucking around. So if you come to our border, we have alligator Alcatraz. We're ready to detain you. You're not going to get caught and released into the country. We are going to kick you out. The days of abusing the system are over. So I think that has been a helpful deterrent to stop what was going on. And I'm glad to see that happen. But guys, it's been an amazing podcast. We've had an excellent show. Shout out to our host, Unrealness. Thank you for coming out and spending some time with us. Hopefully we will see you again next Friday when we do our podcast again. We will be live streaming, hopefully around the same time. I want to say about 7 o'clock, 7:30.
Yeah.
So
we're ironing things out. There's gonna be obviously a few bumps. I want to get the thumbnails pre-made, go over a few of the stories obviously before we click to go live. So guys, let us know also if you guys like the live format. The hiccups, the bumps, the stumbles here and there. I personally think it's a lot more enjoyable myself.
authentic.
It's way more authentic. Yes, it's not. Everything being too smooth kind of feels kind of too sterile. You know what I mean? But guys, for those who are new, definitely subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. It always helps us out. And yeah, that's basically it there.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next Friday when we start the stream over again. We're excited for this, and so we hope to do this on a weekly basis. So make sure that if you're in the Discord, where I'm sure most of you are, just look out for the ping on Fridays. I'll be sure to remind everybody. Unrealness has a TikTok. He goes live and does TikTok debates. So if you want to follow him on TikTok, his @ is Unrealness, and then he has an alt, Unrealness the Great.
Mm-hmm. Also, Also, before that, actually, guys, I want to say I'm gonna go live for a little bit once we wrap this up. So be on the lookout for that. Where for people who are in here who obviously know me, come in, give me your guys' ideas so we can have a proper interaction, something in a more loose thing or loose
I love
conversation.
that. I love that. And if you guys, I'm sure most of you are already familiar with me as well. Follow me on TikTok at Millie Shushies. I debate every day of the week, Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. That's where you will catch me. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week. Thank you for